I think it's very important once we have selected the right packaging and once we have selected the best route, I think it's very, very important to understand and know the regulations and the documents necessary for that particular destination, right? You need to be aware
100%.
and you need to be very well educated by your supplier on what do you need and what are you lacking in order to export to that country, right?
I think it's key to avoid headaches and to avoid issues at the end of the road. As an example, right? I know Brazil requirements, heat-treated pallets, NCM numbers, right? So depending on what country, they will require this kind of even documents or special packaging, and it needs to be done before sailing because it's better to be safe than sorry, especially with shorter transit times that sometimes it could be 2-3 days. And then if you haven't done that on time, you will have an issue. Let's say Panama, you need the CONAPRED. So all those kind of things are really key and important to make a successful move.
So prepare in advance the documentations and know in advance the requirements for that destination. That will help you avoid hefty fines, extra cost, and very big delays, There's a lot of things involved there. I mean, as you mentioned, Brazil is very strict in some things. There's other countries like Australia and New Zealand that during a certain period of time along the year, they have very strict regulations for fumigation or cargo treatment, So it's better to, if you have any questions, rely on the expertise of your supplier.
Cargo needs to be fumigated, and there's multiple ways to do it, right? It could be individually, it could be the whole container, and that kind of process takes time and understanding of what is needed in order to not have any issues when it goes to Australia. So yeah, we need to be just sure of what we're dealing with in each country.
Then there's also a lot of documentation involved in the transportation of goods, especially between countries that have transmissions. That means authorization, preloading authorization to be able to export to those countries. And you're an expert on this because USA is one of the main ones, right?
AMS, we need to do it beforehand, right? 48 hours before an ISF. And well, for Europe, we have the ICS2, right?
Right.
That is kind of
we copy
right?
you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's needed, and it's better to have everything ready beforehand. Otherwise, you're gonna face what? An inspection, delays, demurrage, storage, and a headache. So just be sure that when you're moving some freight, you do the transmissions on time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that even worst case scenario is the possibility to not be able to import the cargo, to custom clear the cargo at destination if something has been done wrong along the way. So it is very important because then you probably will involve in enroll in a lot of extra cost and even lose the cargo,
And then you would think, okay, we can just leave it behind. No, you have abandonment charges. You will have storage charges. You still have a bill to pay, even though you probably cannot recuperate the cargo, right?
Sure.
Just an example, right? If you go to Brazil with a non-heat treated pallet, they will request you to put that pallet back into that single container and bring it back to origin.
Wow.
That's going to be a lot of money.
The cost
That's going to be a lot of time. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you need to avoid those kind of issues.
So off the top of my head, I would say that countries that involve transmission protocols that you need to be aware of are, of course, USA, Europe as a whole, China, Japan, Egypt, but there's many more.
Egypt.
So it is always better, if you have any questions, to rely on your MVOCC for that purpose.
Yes. The WWA usually, when you make a booking for any destination, we will have clauses, and that clause will come into your booking and it will show you, for this destination you need these. This is restricted, this commodity is restricted. All of that is important for you to read your booking confirmation because you will see what is needed from you. And if you have any questions, you can just come back to our customer service team and ask them, and we will help you to assist you, even though sometimes we will not be able to do the paperwork for you, but we can guide you through, right? And probably recommend someone to help you out.
And on top of that, you also have requirements such as export licenses or import licenses. You have different regulations for customs.
FDA,
for sure. I mean, and you have cargo that is subjected to customs inspections before the unloading of the container. Some of the cargo are subjected to those inspections when you are proceeding with the custom clearance after the unloading of the container. So it really it's very diverse, and you need to be aware of all those hassles along the way.
And like you said, it will be to avoid additional charges and hefty fines at the end of the day. So it's the better for you.
Correct. And then you have, I think we mentioned it before, but you have DG restrictions in particular countries. Some countries you're not able to accept some certain type of DG cargo as LCL, or you're not able to accept it at all. In some countries, for example, in China, it's very difficult or impossible to export from certain ports of China some type of DG cargo. I'm talking now about, for example, batteries out of the south of China, and then you need to be aware.
We know. Yeah, and like our whole discussion is building this kind of chain. We have the packaging, we have the route, and now we have restrictions and regulations that it could affect the previous ones. Why do I say this? Because let's say like in Singapore, you cannot move restricted cargo like DG cargo for certain types, like a 2.1 or a 2.2. What that means that when you're choosing your route, you have to take that into account. You cannot go through Singapore when it goes to with those kind of DG cargo. So everything comes together, right? And like I mentioned for Brazil, you cannot use a regular pallet to move to Brazil. So you need to pick the right packaging in order to get it to Brazil. So all is connected.
So yeah, it all comes down to information and sharing that information. Be transparent with your supplier, with your NVOCC, and choose an NVOCC that can have different options for you depending on the type of cargo and the route.